while I say this, while I talk of these tangible assets, we should also say that Odisha has a sizable tribal population. A sizable tribal population which has been there since millennia. We have 62 different tribes, out of half of which are nearly PGBTs. They are primitive groups of very vulnerable tribes. Now, these tribals have been in the highlands, they have been in the forests, they have lived in isolation and lived for millennia, for 2,000-3,000 years. Obviously, because tribals, none of the tribes had a script. All the history, all the traditional knowledge was passed on the oral way. Knowledge was passed from mother to daughter, from father to son, from tribal chief to the other person, medicine man to medicine man. But the inherent sheer depth, sheer amount of knowledge which the tribals possess by way of knowledge about seeds, knowledge about the weather, knowledge about water conservation, knowledge about the forest, knowledge about the ethnobotany. When I say ethnobotany, I mean to say that for a tribal, every tree, every leaf, every root, every bark, every fruit of the tree has some value. The concept of the sacred grove, which has been prevalent for thousands of years, is something which is still practiced today. So when we talk of the history of Odisha, much has been written, much has been said, much has been seen, examined, researched, all of it which is tangible. But the intangible part of it, the history of nearly 1/3 of the population of the state, the cultural heritage, could not be recorded, like I told you, because they had no written script. And the tribal studies have become only in the last century. Before that, there were the badlands and much work had not been done. Why I am telling this is that I will be speaking about the studied culture and history of heritage of the state, but ignoring the tribal culture, putting that in isolation will not do justice. Yeah. We undertook 2 projects in the tribal region of Koraput, where we studied 2 tribes and basically recorded the metamorphizing, world for them, the changes that have occurred in the tribal culture, in the tribal society, every which way. Our report was titled Tribes in Transition, in which we documented 2 tribes, the Kandhos and the Gadavas. And the Kandha had 3 sub-tribes, the Desiya Kandha, the Kutia Kandha and Dongariya Kandha. So what we found is in the study was, in that fast changing life, the fast changing tribal life is a sort of the deculturation that is happened is practically killing the entire tradition and history. It is just plain and simple cultural genocide. The traditions, the customs, the language, the food habit, the dresses, the social pecking order, which survived and survived successfully for 2,000-3,000 years, has seen so much change in the last 3 decades that very few of it is left in its pure form. Languages are forgotten, food habits have changed, agricultural practices have changed, livestock practices have changed with the intention of, and basically with the education, like I said, the tribal education, the tribal knowledge was not something codified like we teach them today. We have tribal schools, we have tribal hostels, where we take them and put them all together from different tribes, and they study, they get modern education, which we are not against it. But in this course, they are losing the traditional knowledge which most of it is untapped. Even we haven't tapped it till today. Like I told you, the ethnobotany. The tribal's survival instincts, how he relied on the forest and in a very sustainable way. As long as the Adivasis were using or looking after the forests, there was no decimation of any plant or animal species. They lived in a very sustainable manner. It is our modern day mining, modern day industrialization, modern day's policy which has made animals extinct, and even many flora has become extinct also. For a tribal, he knew how to live with nature. So the report which we published, we never expected it, in which we took all the indicators, the economic indicator, the social indicator, the cultural indicator, all the indicators which we took, we found that there were drastic changes happening. Lot was being lost, and had already been lost. It was irreversible, and it was a document in which we have submitted to the authorities to be that there should be a rethinking in the tribal development plans. What the government of Odisha does, through the development agencies, working for the tribals, it really needs a serious rethought